about it.
Welcome to Continue Mission Radio with Captain James McCormick. By veterans, for veterans. Guest host tonight, our author Greg Meekin, and Miss Val, our military radio gal. Continue Mission starts now.
You got me headed to the left, headed to the right, headed back and forth, but baby, it's alright. You got me going to the east, going to the west, going up and down, cause baby, you know best. All day, all night, running around, I'm never gonna stop because you never settle down. You got me shooting into space, flying at the sun. I'm never coming back cause baby you're the
Good morning, America. Good morning, world. It's August 20th, 2025, and this show is coming to you from sunny and hot Arizona. This is another rapid deployment of Continue Mission Radio with Captain James McCormick. I am Val Olson. I'm here today at my kitchen table with Greg Meekin. This is an exciting show because it's another broadcast on the Veteran Channel. Just like Continue Mission, the Veteran Channel is produced by veterans for veterans. So let's light the fuse. Buckle up, everyone. Welcome to Continue Mission. Greg Meekin, what's on your heart today?
Oh my God, Val Olson. Oh my God, Val Olson. Are we live again?
Yes.
I think it was just like this time last week. Wednesdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. The place to be, multi-platforms. Good morning, Val Olson. No matter what, let's take a couple of minutes here to slow down. I think everybody in the audience needs to hear this, to slow down, take a break, have your coffee. I've got my coffee ready, Val. Look at
Yes,
that.
I have my tea ready.
do we have our props ready? That's great. If we happen to have this is very important, Val, just logistics. If we happen to have a guest pop in, do you have your bell, your little bell to introduce them?
My dinner bell? Yes. Yes. So if you hear this, we have a special guest arriving. Yes.
I love it, going through the props. That's great. In the 1980s, during the aerobics fad, I call it fad, the Jane Fonda era and stuff, they do bandanas, right? They do bandana. What do they call them? And around their ankles, they wore like their sweaters,
Leg warmers.
And I heard it described in the 80s as that was their statement. They were wearing their statement.
Yeah.
And isn't that the case no matter what? Every generation. Everything's a fad. My mother always told me, don't get too frustrated with any moment in time or any period of time, because everything's a phase.
Yeah.
Everything's a phase. And imagine this, raising kids. We've raised some kiddos. I've raised 3 boys. Okay. And I'm glad I learned that. Everything's a phase because they've gone through like 100 phases. My twins are 36. I'm still worn out from raising them, Val Olson. Good morning, everybody. Sorry to digress.
Good
This
question.
is just
What was the best phase? Like, are you somebody that looks backwards or looks forward to the unknown?
I have an answer that I gave to actually London, England on the airways one day on that one. Is I like to live all 3 at the same time. I like to live in the past. I like to live in the future. And I love to live in the present at the same time. You refer back to the past. Number 1, what lessons did you learn? What stupid things did you do? Whatever, but also what positive things you did. Our body of work, our Ives list. So how does that teach you for living in the present today? How does thinking about the future? Because if people aren't thinking about the future right now, if people aren't thinking about the future, they need to. Okay, this is even before things like the internet and Elon Musk's name was known to the world. So especially to older folks, seriously, older folks like me. Got baby boomers, you guys are in your 60s and 70s now. Okay. We are in your 60s and 70s. The greatest generation, the older folks, which is all our World War II military veteran folks, Val, because this is going to be all about veterans today. And those generations, we had the greatest generation, which was all the guys that fought in World War II. And then we have above them is the lost generation. Lost generation was turn of the century. That was my grandfather, some of the World War I guys. And without further ado, we have someone who's just, oh my God, did you just ring the bell, Val?
I did.
We have someone parachuting in. We left the landing strip open for him, okay, today, Val, because you never know. We have a Generation X male. I think he's a former military guy, a former soldier, if I heard right. His name's Captain James McCormick. I'm going to actually fast turn it over to you, Val, to give a quick intro of Captain James. This is his show. It's called Continue Mission. It's been going on for over a decade. Live every Friday night. So back to you, Val. Introduce Val and introduce Captain McCormick. And if you have that cool little bumper in, I don't know if you do or not. We're on a logistics time warp today. So go ahead. Back to you, Val Olson.
We're thrilled to have Captain James parachute in. James is busy. He is all over DC covering things. So when he comes in, he has updates for us. So to our vets at home, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here today and a part of our mission. We are actively recruiting. So stay tuned. We've got updates on that. And yes, I'm going to welcome James here in just 1 second.
You got me headed to the left, headed to the right, headed back and forth, but baby, it's alright. You got me going to the east, going to the west, going up and down, cause baby, you know best.
Captain James McCormick, 3-time Purple Heart war hero and total badass. Dueling Citizens returns now.
As we say, they'll let anybody on this show, Miss Val.
Anybody.
You got Captain James. I wanted to surprise you with that little, it's called a bumper in, where we've done so much radio in the past and stuff. I got bumpers in, bumpers out. Captain James McCormick, the microphone is yours. Okay, you take it.
Right.
You never know how much time you got. But go ahead, Captain James McCormick, to the world, to America, and to everybody else.
Hey, well, good afternoon, everyone. As you can see, I'm starting to grow my mustache back there. That was by orders of my wife, who likes me to wear the mustache. I told her, I said, it really doesn't look like a mustache anymore. It looks like I've been drinking milk. So I could be a good milk commercial right now. You know, here's the milk right here. So, anyways, so yes. So, a lot of stuff going on in Washington, D.C., a lot of stuff going on around the nation. You know, we see a movement that has really increased in momentum as far as a level of patriotism across the country, which I'm really happy to see that. You know, you talked about the greatest generation and all of that. You know, I grew up with grandparents and parents, grandparents and on both sides, both my parents' sides, that were Depression era kids that were in either World War II or Korea. And, you know, they would look at us even in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, say, y'all are soft. You know, you're just soft. And, you know, it was our music, it was our everything. And you have those differences in generations. And most certainly my father's generation, the Vietnam generation, the counterculture, whatever you want to call it, people were starting to.
So Captain James just had a phone call come in. That's what's happening right now. And he's back. It's just a
sorry
phone
about
call.
that.
Carry on.
Yeah. So you have the counterculture and you have, and you have all of these these different times that where one generation was always tougher than the other. But that is a true statement when it comes to our generation that fought in World War II and that lived through the Depression, and and really, honestly, brought us levels of prosperity uh, that this country had not seen the likes in a very long time. And so now we fast forward, we're at 2025, 100 years after those people were born. So most of the people that fought World War II were born before 1925. And I think you might see some that were born in 27, 28. And then some that lied about their age to get in. There was quite a few of them that may have been born in like 1930, 1929. But most of them are fast approaching, the end of their lives. So there's a lot of lessons out there that I hope have been passed down. So I was very fortunate to see some of that. But in this day and age, you see, we're in this high tech age, and we see things that are happening as far as veterans go, love of country. That generation loved their country regardless. I mean, it was just unquestionable loyalty and patriotism. John F. Kennedy said it himself. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And I think that those words ring true now, even more so. So what are we doing for our country? And what are we doing for our veterans in this world, in this space that I live in and I work in? I see a lot of improvements that need to happen. And so I just want to lay it out, you know what I mean, as far as what our veterans need, and their families. And are we doing good by both? Abraham Lincoln said to care for him who has borne the battle and for his widow and his orphan. And you look at some of the benefits we have now, and they're much better than they were in 1865. But are they really the best that America can do? Are we really taking care of our veterans and their families and their widows and their orphans? Is that the best that America can do? Is it if you worked as a bureaucrat your whole life, which we need those people. But if you worked in government service your whole life, never was donned a uniform, never had to engage in combat or any of that, your benefits in most cases and your retirement in all cases is better than that of a disabled veteran, a normal disabled veteran. And I think that system is broken. And I believe a lot of people would agree with that. So fast forward to the Vietnam generation and the group that I was a veteran of Desert Storm and Iraqi Freedom. But I more associate with the Vietnam generation. And it's not because I'm 57, so it's not my age, because I was just a boy when all that was going on. But I think it's because of the fact that I grew up with so many of them. And I saw their plight and I saw what they did, and their focus and their singular focus continues this day and to ensure that no veteran of any generation has to endure what they endured when they came home. And so there was this huge revival in veterans benefits. Now, look, I know some veterans organizations like to put their name on things. But regardless of the organization, it was that generation, the Vietnam generation, that stood in the gap and said, we won't just accept this as being okay. And so they did. And they formed Vietnam Veterans of America. They formed other organizations. The majority of the people that make up your big organizations, they're Vietnam veterans. And quite frankly, it's it's amazing. I ran into some Vietnam veterans at this last national convention in Louisiana who were just retiring. They're 70 plus, and they're retiring. Why? Because the retirement system sucks in America. And we're complaining about, jobs and upward mobility, but we're not allowing people to retire at a respectable age and be able to live the lifestyle that doesn't put them in poverty. So I think, I was kind of shocked when you see someone that's 75 or 74, I just retired. And I'm thinking, wow, I would like to be retired when I'm 65. I'd like to be totally retired, but I'm sick. But now you're looking at it and you're thinking, really, can you? Maybe. I hope there's some changes that makes it possible. But right now it's not possible. And so a lot of them are working well beyond. And so they retire and they live for what, 5 years, 10 years, maybe, and they die. So they
Maybe.
work their whole life. Maybe they die while they're working.
Captain, so many people die in the first year.
Yeah.
Obviously total tragedy. I want you to follow up on that a little bit. I cannot believe, and this makes me want to throw up. Okay.
Yeah.
I can't believe our older people, let's just put the number at 65 and older.
Yeah.
Okay, put that number. I can't believe they have any hardship in their lives in any way.
Yeah.
None of them that I know, Captain. None of them
Yeah.
that I know need any kind of a lavish lifestyle. They
Mhm.
want a roof over their head, and more importantly, a safe roof over their head.
Sure.
In Arizona, you want air conditioning, of course. It's 42 degrees Celsius down here today, just for the folks. That's about $1.07 in Fahrenheit. But Captain, follow up with this. I have personally, because I'm strolling down the Route 66 right now, 66 years old. And honestly, that retired people have to go out and work again. I don't care who it is. If they want, fine. Some folks will, these old guys, they'll be doing this stuff right to their grave. God love them. But
Yeah.
you have to work. And I'm sitting around looking right now, just going, go through a shopping center or a gas station or whatever. You're seeing not only vets, retired vets, but I'm seeing just regular folks who there should be they're disabled, James. They
Sure.
need knee replacements and hip replacements. And they're standing behind a
Well, they've
cashier.
worked themselves to death. I mean, they've
Talk about
worked the
that a
job for
Yeah,
decades,
talk about that a little bit. I know you got guys with the same story, but bottom line, how does it relate to the younger generations and the Generation X is running our countries? And how do we get our ducks in a row to help every American citizen over 65? And
Well-
if they're wealthy, they don't need to get extra, checked. So I don't say we won't go there.
Yeah.
But just the practical nature of older people not being able to even live a
Yeah.
safe life.
That's interesting you bring that up. I'm going to be going out to West LA next week to discuss the current crisis of veteran homelessness. And now we're not talking about veterans who served in the military 1 or 2 days and they got kicked out because they were just bad people or not good soldiers or whatever. We're talking about people that are living on the street that had an honorable discharge, or even in some cases even retired from the military, and they're out in West Los Angeles or there's someplace where they can't get adequate housing, and they want to put them in these housing communities, places that we would call slums, and I'm trying to be nice about it. But no American should live like that. No American should have to live like that. No American should have to live in fear. No American should have to sit and let their kids go out to catch the school bus and sit and worry about them all day. Are they going to come home today? Somebody going to kill them? Somebody going to molest them? Somebody going to do this? Are they going to get into drugs or whatever? We shouldn't have that, and we need a better policing structure. We need a better prosecution capabilities without trampling on people's constitutional rights. But you're right about the older generation. So they're the most victimized generation. They're the most victimized group are those that are 65 and older. And then you have the 14 and under. So you have two groups there that are being victimized that are 14 and under by pedophiles, by opportunists, by whatever you want to call them. Not all of it's sexual, some of it's financial, because some of these kids have PayPal accounts and everything else, and they get it. And then you have the 65 and older crowd who's used to the handshake and a promise. And they find out that there's a group of people, and they generally, look, I'm not stigmatizing anybody, but they're generally between 20 and 45 years old. When you look at the demographic, and in some cases a little bit older, but by the time they hit 45 to 50, they've learned. But those are the people that have grown up in this kind of an environment, that have been taught that it's okay if they're dumb enough, to give you their credit card number, then you're smart enough to take all their money. If they're dumb enough, to do this, then it's okay for you to take advantage of them, and it's not okay. And the real Americans need to stand up, and I think that it's happening. Washington D.C. I'm telling you, it's a safer city now. Now, people will get pissed at you for saying that, but it's true, because I've got troops on every corner now. And people are like, well, this is unheard of. Well, they don't understand their history. Washington, D.C. has been an occupied and military defended city many, many times. We can go back to the Civil War, and they had all of the Union troops that surround it. They said, well, there were people coming in, from the Confederacy. Yeah. But you've also got a different kind of enemy now, but still a very real, deadly threat. There was some kid that was an intern that was murdered here. Well, you want to know why your troops are on the street? Well, it's because you're turning a blind eye and you're allowing this stuff to happen. And you're defending thugs over citizenry. And that's what's really got me upset about the older population. So the senior citizens of America, which I'm soon to be one myself, it's like, what do they have? They don't have their health. They've had to work carrying, in some cases, taking care of their kids, their grandkids, and in some cases, their great-grandkids.
Yeah.
And they can't leave their job because they got screwed on a bad mortgage deal because of, you remember the whole Enron scandal and all of this other stuff that screwed the hell out of people. And it's like, now they're still paying off debt from 40 years ago. Where's the fairness? There's no fairness in that. And they're paying taxes on a house that they paid off 10 years ago. Property taxes. You never own anything, not even your own clothing, because when you die, that stuff goes to the Goodwill, or the Salvation Army. So you own what you get buried with, and you come into this world with what you were born with, which was nothing. And what you earn in between then and there is up to you. But I think that we need a better system in taking care of our people that are 65 and older. There should be look, man, there should be none of them living on the streets, especially a veteran with an honorable discharge. Shame on America for letting that shit happen.
This is unacceptable, Captain. This is unacceptable. What happens to these guys? Touch on, if you will, there's so much follow-up questions to just what you're monologuing on here. Follow up real quick, if you can, with Secretary Hegseth and Secretary Collins. I know you work with him closely, Doug Collins. I just want to, if you can, take just a few minutes as far as maybe the last conversations you guys have had, because I'll tell you what, we can talk about this stuff all day long, but it's what are you going to do about it? Just like, of course, remember Hegseth donating his salary to that LA homeless. I think I might have interrupted you there, but go ahead on that.
No. You didn't interrupt me. No, so in the West LA situation is just one of the bigger target areas. President Trump came out with an executive order that lays out essentially what the Vietnam veterans of America have been asking for decades. It doesn't essentially, it almost verbatim. And if people think that, you know, it was just, a coincidence that he came out with that executive order, then they're not watching and they're not paying attention. So I think that with Secretary Collins, you have a man that is a chaplain, a U.S. Air Force, Air Force Reserve chaplain, colonel, who has a sincere love for people, who has been to war, as a chaplain and seen the worst that humanity can lay on humanity. And Hegseth is the same way. But no matter what they do, you'll always have people that are pushing back against them. And we've forgotten how to say thank you, even to people that you may not agree with or you may not politically be aligned with, whether you're a Democrat or Republican. So people ask me, well, what are you? I said, I'm an American. That's my political affiliation. What's good for America is what I'm talking about. And it's like deep inside, of each person, we need to be doing that. But I'm an American first, American always. There is no loyalty to political parties. There's no loyalty to people. There's a loyalty to America and the American people in general. And for me, it's the veterans. So I've been tasked, and I've learned this growing up. You get tasked to do a job, you do it, no matter what a job is. You get tasked to clean the bathroom, you clean the bathroom to the best of your ability. You get tasked to lead an organization with veterans benefits being that key focus, then you go after that like a chicken on a June bug. I've said that before. And when I look at benefits and I look at what we're doing, so that's the questions, that's the commentary that we have. And then the Vietnam generation, especially we got a newly elected president of Vietnam Veterans of America, Tom Burke, from Ohio, a tough Ohio guy, served in the U.S. Navy, worked in railroads his whole life after he came back from the Vietnam experience, and dedicated his life to his family and to his work. And the work ethic is incredible. And so when you look at folks like that who still will get out and swing a hammer if they have to, we got to take care of those people better. And how do we do that? Well, we need to do a better job at healthy aging programs. And I'm going to get into the nuts and bolts, so it's not just a monologue. We need to do a better job with healthy aging of our veteran population. We need to do a better job at transitioning service members out of the military and into civilian life. Companies need to be educated on the value, not just of hiring a veteran, because I hear that all the time. Well, they know how to get up, go to work, do all this. Yeah, most of them do. But they also bring an inherent level of skills. So if they were a communications worker, communications specialist in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, or the Space Force, there's certain skill sets that they have that are on the technical side that would really make them a good fit into, maybe an IT department. Maybe they would be a good fit into a electronics or communications. But the point is that there is a transition that you can transition them into something. And it doesn't have to be, well, they got to have all that experience and a college degree. I'm not a believer that a college degree makes you intelligent, because I've seen plenty of them with college degrees that demonstrated a lack of pure intelligence as far as common sense goes. So we need a level of common sense. And most military personnel have that. And I'm careful to say all, just because we do have bad eggs like everybody else. That's another thing that nobody wants to admit. we have some people that are in a homeless situation because they got kicked out of the military and they couldn't stay out of trouble. And so we need a different kind of way to help those people. They're not in the group of that person who served honorably, got out, and simply can't afford to live, move, or do anything else. You get dropped off and, your home's in West LA and you get dropped off there, maybe you can't get anywhere else. Where's the jobs at? So we need to do a better job with that transitioning process. And I think that the Secretary of Defense and the VA have come together, and the Department of Labor needs to come together. The other thing is we're forgetting this whole agriculture piece. Okay. So many of these veterans that don't want to be thrown into society would make excellent farmers, agriculture professional. I've worked in that for years. We built that program, Vets to Ag. And, it's kind of fell to the wayside in some places, not all places. North Carolina has a great thing called the Veterans Farm. So I think that we need to not be afraid to entertain entrepreneurship for our veterans of all ages. Because I had a veteran come to a beekeeping class that was in the Korean War. Okay, this was 10 years ago, so he would have been in his, 70s then. But he learned beekeeping and was a successful beekeeper. And actually made some money selling honey, So I think that there's opportunities for all ages. But on the aging thing with the VA, we need to get more focused on holistic care, health, healthy aging, geriatrics programs that will help to not only improve the lifestyle, but increase the lifespan so that they can, because we've worked them till they're in their 70s. So I think it would be fair for us to put on our best effort to keep them alive for at least 30 years after they retire.
Captain?
Yeah.
I have a question on that. We've talked about this for hours and hours. VA. I have heard two sides to this argument. I know some guys that have absolutely love their VA care.
Yeah.
And I hear others where it's a nightmare. My theory has been, I published about it, etc., that much like our seniors out there, these veterans, when they get to the moment they are either fully disabled or retired, okay, that's it. They got a card. There used to be Kaiser Permanente Health up in Washington State. You have a card. They did everything great. Everything under one roof, that kind of thing. And we can afford to do it. We got plenty of money to do it. My question is, and let me challenge you, please let our listeners know and our viewers know, is this going to be positive moving forward? Is there a possibility for this direction, especially the direct pay type of stuff with the directors that Go ahead, Captain McCormick.
Yeah, I think so. I think that, you're seeing a positive momentum. You got a little static out there on the street. I'm just surprised that how some people put more emphasis on people that are criminals than they do on the veterans. They will do more to defend the criminals than they will to defend the veterans who are not criminals. I'm disappointed by that, but and that's not the VA. That's a certain group of Americans in general. It's like people will ask, well, what do you think about what's going on in Gaza? I think it's terrible. I'm with the president when I say I want to see the killing stopped. I mean, I'd like to see people stop killing each other. We've had enough of that. The graveyards are full. We don't need any more. But I will not engage in that argument because that has nothing to do with what we're trying to do here in the streets of America. Is it a humanity issue? Yes, but it's also a terrorism issue. You know, it's like I've sat in on meetings and they suck up the oxygen. We're supposed to have a meeting. You know, these veterans groups get together, and lo and behold, one of them will come in and they'll bring up a topic that has nothing to do with veterans care. Nothing. It'll be about Gaza. It'll be about immigration. It'll be about, you know, open borders. It'll be all this other stuff, trying to paint a bad, paint the president, the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, the Secretary of Veterans, or the Secretary of Defense, Pam Bondi, all of them. They're trying to make them look really bad. And it's like, you're in the wrong room, because I'm worried about that Vietnam veteran who is either living on the street or on the brink of living on the street because we have failed them as an American citizenry. We have failed to take care of them. Now, I'll hear people on the other side that'll say, well, they should have planned better. Yeah, you should have went and fought in their place, is what I tell a lot of them. And I'll hear these arguments about, well, we're spending too much money on our veterans, or we need to, to watch the budget and all these things. Well, I'll do that when we go to compulsory military service.
So James will be right back.
Sure. When James takes a phone call, you never know. It can be from the White House, right?
That's where we can
But,
talk for a minute till he's back.
Sorry about that. Sorry.
no worries.
Carry on.
We know that you can get phone calls from anywhere, Captain McCormick.
Yeah,
We know
well,
that.
I mean, it's like I try to go on my cell phone to try to, to stop that. But, if I was on my computer, it would be the same thing.
I want to comment your previous thought. I want your thoughts, your comment.
Yeah.
You're in the bowels of DC. You're really focused on crime and law and order and stuff. Something came to my heart this morning, and it's something that I would wish, and I want your comments here. I would wish on every single American citizen out there, seriously, and including even the media.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Is this,
Yeah.
and I mean it too, with all the couch fainting I hear in the media every day, because seriously, and not talking total political here, but Donald Trump's enforcing the law. Okay, we have laws.
Sure.
My question is, and my statement was, and it applies to the our conversations and the urban conversations in DC, is there any way everybody out there could just follow the law? Yeah, just like maybe even for one day.
Yeah, that would be, what a hell of a concept, right? Just follow the law.
And
What a
to
hell
our
of a
leaders,
concept.
follow the law, everybody, just simple. And to our leaders, enforce the law, simple.
Yeah,
Even
and
if
enforce
you
the
don't
ones
want
that are,
to.
enforce the ones that are really impacting people.
Yeah.
I mean,
Our leaders, we got laws they're great laws. They're
Yeah.
anti-violence, but even if you don't like the president, even if you're angry, is there any way you could just follow the law and enforce the law? Back to you, Captain James. I don't know if I lost you there. We lost you there.
no, you haven't lost me. No, you haven't lost me. No. I had some plaques come in the office here, but so we've identified states that have done good jobs taking care of veterans, and so we have a program where we honor those states. But let me go back to the plight of our veterans and what we're trying to do as a veterans organization. Is we want to not only take care of, this is the great thing about the Vietnam generation. And I know people are, everybody thinks that they've got the greatest thing down the pike, but really this is the group. There's no other veterans organization that says never again shall one generation of veterans abandon another. I mean, it's there. It's go look it up, vva.org. Go look up the organization. And their whole singular focus is on how do we make this place better before we finally leave and we're gone. the most unselfish group of patriots I've ever seen in my life. Now, they don't all agree politically on the same line, okay? Some of them, we have some very robust discussions, but what they all have the capability of doing is to keep those civil and to come up with solutions and not just problems. You know what I mean? If you don't have a problem, then some people go out and create one. Well, we don't do that, and we don't want to do that. But we do believe that there's some problems that we need to create a solution. And one of them is, how do we take care of an aging veteran population, their family? And when that veteran dies, why are we cutting their benefits to like 40 some percent of what they were getting from the VA? So are we really taking care of the widows and the orphans when we do that? Is that what that veteran? No, the veteran would want that family to be cared for. I know, I have a family. I've went out when I learned about all this, how this stuff really went down, because you always thought, well, my family would be taken care of forever. You're like, no, 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 let me tell you what happens. This is what really happens. When I learned out what really happened, then I said, I better go get a few $100,000 in life insurance. And I paid big for that. Okay, still do. But I don't want my family to be on the street. And I'm sure that these Vietnam veterans don't want their kids or their grandkids or their great grandkids, and they darn sure don't want me or the future generations of veterans to be on the streets either. That's the beauty of this, and why we have such a good relationship with whomever's in office, because our messaging doesn't change. Don't abandon the veterans, regardless of the generation, and we're all here to work together. And if you're not, then we'll tell people. We can tell people the truth and not get political. As a matter of fact, that's what America needs to hear, is the truth. And people will come to me with a political bias and saying, well, how's this working? Well, it's working really well, or it's not working well, because I'm going to give you the truth. And I don't care. I don't do a voter block on you. I don't look to see what your political affiliation is for you walk in my room, because we should be able to have, if you're truthful in your communication, and that's the problem that some of these people, especially these political operatives that we deal with all the time, they can't tell the same story because everything they say is a lie. And if you tell the truth, you're going to tell it whether Jesus Christ himself is standing in front of you, or the Pope, or the president, because you are speaking truth to power. And so when we get to that ability to do that, and not just be a bobblehead, the bobblehead, you either go the no or the yes. They make bobbleheads that do both now. Okay? But you're just seriously looking at everything. That's where we need to be. But we've got to fix this issue with our dependency indemnity compensation. When veterans die, spouses should maintain at least 75% of what that veteran was receiving. And still, that's a hardship because they're losing 25% of their income. But I think that we could probably look at this and say, well, they have one less mouth to feed, okay? But that wife, that husband, that child, that whatever, needs to be able to take care of themselves. And we have to do a better job at doing it, especially when they're over 65. Come on, man. When somebody dies and their spouse is 70 or 71 years old, I mean, it sounds like the old coal company crap. Your spouse died in the coal mine, and you had 3 days to either get remarried or get the hell out or find somebody else to work in that mine. That's the true Cole Kemp mentality. And that is a vicious and hateful, ruthless mentality that we should never go back and revisit again. So we should take care of the widows and orphans. And I believe if you're a Christian and you say you love Jesus and you say you love God, you read the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament, you're going to find passage after passage about how to treat widows and orphans. Churches, people say, well, churches are supposed to do that. Well, they're not. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because of a decline in membership of churches, but you surely can't expect the churches to go into a government, retirement and replace all of that government retirement pay that person worked their whole life to get. Because why were they out there working? It wasn't just take care of themselves. They were out there working to take care of their family so that their wives aren't put out on the street. And I've seen some really sad cases, man. I really have. And I'm really sick of seeing it. And I'm sick of hearing people preach about humanity and all this other stuff, and yet they're not doing anything to protect it. So we need to do a better job at that. I believe Secretary Collins is a righteous person. He's the right person in there that is going to do the right thing. I believe that. Hegseth, Secretary Hegseth is focused on winning wars and defeating the enemy by the projection of power. You see, we can prevent wars because we let people know ahead of time, if you come at us with any of that, we are going to destroy you. That posturing and projecting power is how you prevent wars. And so I believe we need that strong national defense posture. And then, if we can save money, because we're not taking care of criminals and illegal people that shouldn't be here in the first place, then we'll have more money to take care of your veterans and your senior citizens.
You keep bringing this up as far as quality of care, and we have the money to pay for it. It's just a matter of using our money more efficiently. Hello. I do want to, because I know you're very often on a tight schedule, Captain.
I've got to pop smoke here in like 3 minutes.
Okay, we're going to take 3 minutes then. We're going to tell peeps about your new book. You have become an author for the first time.
Yes.
You've done everything in the world that there needs to be done, including serving our country. You're an author. I'm going to give you 3 minutes. You go ahead and talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Battle Tested Faith by Captain James McCormick. It's available on Amazon. Buy it. Buy the book. And go ahead, Captain James, you go all the way through here. I do want you, Val, to have a quick minute before you pop smoke.
Sure.
She has been just graciously letting us chat.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Captain.
So let me just give a brief synopsis on this. So the book is not a war story. It is not. If you look at the very front picture, my mindset was always about humanity, about truly trying to win the hearts and minds of people. Because of my upbringing, because of the hardships in life. I went through several hardships. I went through a couple of divorces. I went through a bankruptcy. I've done all of those things that people say, oh, that's going to kill your future political career. I have no political ambitions. What I have an ambition for is to reach out to the average American citizen who feels I can't go on one more day. And I want to tell them about battle-tested faith. And I want to tell them about the power of faith in God, faith in humanity, faith in other people. Sometimes people will let you down. That's okay. That's the human spirit. That happens. But there is a pathway to peace if you want it. And you don't have to end your life. You have to begin your life. Don't end your life. So you're here at this point, wherever you're at right now. You have the rest of your life to make improvements and changes. It doesn't matter what somebody's saying about you on social media. Look, we'll take care of that. You know what I mean? The people, your real friends, will take care of that. I think that what they're saying about you in the news, we've watched all this happen. But what matters is what you do with it, how you react. And in that book, you'll see where I went to war twice. Two very different experiences, but both changed me in a way that I'm glad it did. You know, there were hardships. There were actual, you know, physical and mental wounds. You know what I mean, from that whole experience. And I get a little graphic in some of the descriptions of it, very little, but I want you to know that we can all go from being this mild-mannered person to be the guy that drops the hammer on somebody if you have to. But we don't have to. We don't have to do that right now. I think that we have a pathway to peace through acceptance of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, through asking for forgiveness, for seeking the pathway of redemption, and looking for ways to just improve yourself. You know, I've seen bad things, man, bad things that I thought I'll never live through this. And God gave me a pathway. God always gives you an out, man. I had somebody tell me that a long time ago. You think that you got sucked into this. No, God gives you a pathway out. You know, that's the same thing with the suicide epidemic. It's because we're not talking about that relationship with God. We're not talking about the future that goes beyond your temporary problem right now. You know, we're too busy being fixated on numbers and statistics instead of focusing on the individual and humanity and compassion. Like I'm seeing here with the Vietnam Veterans of America. They focus on humanity, compassion, making a better life for the future, leaving a legacy of care, being a mentor, being a spiritual guide. And so Battle Tested Faith covers a lot of that. And I mention a lot of things in that book. You wrote a very good foreword in that book, as you know. And I'm thankful for it. So read the book, and if you get it and you meet up with me, I promise you I'll sign it, and I'll give you a hug and tell you thank you for buying it, and pray for you.
Captain, thank you so much. I know you got to be getting out of here, but I want to completely turn the mic exclusively to Miss Val, our military radio gal. Before, obviously, we're going to be doing sign-offs and stuff, but Val, take a minute, frame any thoughts here, and talk to Captain McCormick directly.
Well, we will recap after he leaves. We know he has to pop smoke, but what I want to just say today is the important information that James has shared, and remind everyone that the Veteran Channel is now featured on Apple TV, Amazon TV, Roku, of course, Greg Meekin's YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook pages, and a dozen other platforms. And the Veteran Channel airs live every Wednesday at 9 Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. So if you missed the live show, no worries. You can catch it 24/7. But this is a place where all generations of our vets can come. And it's what James said. It's a life-saving place. And that's what we want to do, is we want to make sure that each one of you knows we need you, we love you, we want you to be here. We're actively recruiting 16.9 million heroes on standby. So this is home, and the solutions today, we just scratched the surface. So thanks so much for being here, Captain James.
Well, thank you. And then I wanted to let other people know that there's another good book out there that I have sitting on my desk right here. From that guy right there.
Inside. You know what's funny? True story here, Captain. There's none of those books out there. Even smarty pants internet people who think everything in the world's on Amazon. That's actually one of the final publisher copies right there. And Val Olson will be the first to tell you that. But look at that.
Yeah, mine's a little more worn because I've read mine 9 times. James, how many times have you read yours?
Well, it's pretty worn out. I mean, it's, I don't know, maybe a couple of times.
Val, put up your book. We'll get a screenshot here. The first time ever, all three screens are just one book. This book, seriously, published it in 35 years ago. See from the inside, how to buy a new car below dealer cost before the internet. Oh, look at that. Yeah. See, those are called testimonials, James. It's amazing. I didn't have Donald Trump at the time, but still some pretty good testimonials.
Yeah, there's some good ones on there.
you threw me a curveball there, doing the old promo on the old book there, but God
There you
bless you,
go,
Captain
man.
McCormick.
Yeah.
We're going to have you back. We're going to be doing this every Wednesday either way. This is kind of our first time out getting logistics set up and stuff. Your time is so valuable, Captain. I want to thank you very much. I want to thank, obviously, Val Olson. We're going to be taking it over from here once you pop smoke. But God love you, sir. And hugs and salutes to all your guys. Remember, it's not just the 16.9 million vets. It's their families exponentially, including health issues. That's for another show. But God bless you, Captain. Do your sign off here, and we'll see you hopefully next week.
Remember, folks, that it's all about America here. We're all about America.
Right.
And, when I had these challenge coins made for the Vietnam Veterans of America, you look on the back, you see that Vietnam Veterans of America flag on there. These are great coins. You come by my office in Silver Spring, Maryland, or if I run into you in Washington, D.C., you ask me about one of these coins, and I'll be happy to put one in your hands, because we should be passing on the love for America and the love for our veterans and our patriots. But we also need to pass on the love for our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Give him credit for all things, folks. It's not me trying to push religion on you at all, but it's for me to tell you that, there's always a tomorrow. Don't give up on today. Okay. So all of those of you that are in crisis, struggling right now, you don't have to be alone. Reach out, call somebody, and I promise you, it'll get better. It'll get better. God bless you, folks, and thanks for having me on the show, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you, Captain.
That's Captain James McCormick. And what a show today. Wow. I just want to do a quick recap of highlights, really addressing the veteran crisis in America and becoming brutally honest about it. And I want to start there because what really hit me was when Captain James mentioned that we have, vets in their 70s that are working, that they need to work just to stay alive, stay off the streets. And Greg, I am not comfortable when I hear that that's a solution or that's socially acceptable, not from a government that runs our military as being the superpower of the world. And I will not sugarcoat it. I'm just going to say it like it is. That is a stain on the government that can absolutely be fixed very fast. The way to fix that is what I call a short list. It really is, because a short list entails just a clear, very direct outline of, who thinks this way, who thinks that way. And there's the right thing to do and the wrong thing to do. So to our vets, to our Vietnam vets, we love you. We will not, just stand by and watch something that is completely wrong take place. No generation is going to do that. And when the people learn the truth, and they will rise, it's all about time and when. But I will say this: if a government is prepared to ask you to give up your life, on the other end, they better be prepared to deliver on their promises. That's the currency. That's the currency of America, and that's it. I mean, it's not an option. It's not optionable. That is the transaction. So, Greg, over to you.
Well, what you're saying is total in theme for this entire show. In theme, which is number one, freedom's the number one answer other than believing in God. Freedom's the number one answer, north, south, east, west, and around the world. Number two, and I'm going to be shouting this to the rooftops. We've been doing this, Val, for over 3 years, doing this live radio, this type of format, Captain James and stuff. And what I'll say right now, and I've been reiterating it, this hardship that military veterans and disabled veterans are going through, and this hardship that a lot of our regular senior folks, again, call it 65 and over, the hardship, and again, actually having to go back to work full time and stuff, this is unacceptable. And I hope and I think that our leaders, starting with the White House, starting with Secretary Hegseth, I know Doug Collins is on the program, is to fixing this because we got plenty of money. We got plenty of money. Won't go there. Won't go what was spent during COVID or anything like that. Anywho, but that's the theme, and then it still always comes back to the home front, to what we're doing. Again, the 16.9 million veterans, their families, wives, partners, spouses, kids, grandkids, is what they're going through. And can we get ourselves squared away, get ourselves as a country squared away, because there's plenty of money, so that everybody is living literally in freedom and comfortably. So that's the theme. That's why we continue to hear from you, Val. I'm going to have you, as a matter of fact, if you want to take a minute or so, because we'll be wrapping the show here. There's just so much to get to, so much to Captain McCormick. This was not even barely the tip of the iceberg with this guy. So it's like stay tuned in, as they say in the Soviet Union, stay tuned into the government channel. Anyhow, but I'm going to have you take a minute really to say your piece, just a quick minute or so, wrap and outro how you like. And I always finish with, and we're a 1 hour show, we're a little bit over, but what a great visit by Captain McCormick. And we've only just begun. But remember, everybody, wake up in kindergarten every day. There's so much to learn and so little time. Because before you know it, you're in first grade. God bless you, everybody. God bless America. Thanks, Val.
Today's show was fantastic. We really touched on different demographics that we need to focus on, not just as an administration, but the people in our community, and that is our youth, and that is our seniors, and so we need to change the tide here, and we need to have a starting place. I love that we can't use money as a excuse. It just comes down to that. So often money can be used, well, we don't want to go in debt. Well, we don't have the money. Well, we'll talk about it later. We've actually come to a place in time where you can't use that as a buffer. It's just, no, all we have now is solutions in front of us, and we have to pick the best options. So things are getting fixed. It may not feel like it today, right now, but you are slowly seeing that the people behind the machine, right, are actually going to make the moral calls on the better decision making, so that all of the machinery works correctly as it should. And that is what we can't forget, is the human element in all of this. And timelines are important, and that's why we're here. That's why the channel is here, because you're going to be able to follow in real time. You're going to hear ideas, you're going to hear real solutions. We're going to bring you the people in the world, in your communities, that are doing the stuff that makes the home front stronger, makes our country stronger, and is saving lives. That's what we're going to do. Our goal is to address the crisis that is hitting our vets in our community. 26 are dying every day on home soil. So they are giving of their lives, coming home, and there's a problem. And I am committing with my life to each one of you that I'm not okay with that there is a hunt that is taking place, and I'm going to lead that hunt and get the answers. And short lists work fantastic. So it always just comes down, we can hide behind numbers, but behind those numbers is names. So there are names, and then there's accountability. So I'm so thrilled to be here on this platform alongside you, Greg, and Captain James, and to our 16.9 million vets and our law enforcement, who also make the ultimate sacrifice within their community. You are a part of this, and all of you who are out there on the front lines, who maybe don't get recognized as heroes. Here you do. This is the home of where heroes are recruited. So we are recruiting each and every one of you, and your mission starts now.
Welcome to Continue Mission Radio with Captain James McCormick. By veterans, for veterans. Guest hosts tonight are author Greg Meekin and Miss Val, our military radio gal. Continue Mission starts now.
You got me headed to the left, headed to the right, headed back and forth, but baby, it's alright. You got me going to the east, going to the west, going up and down, cause baby, you know best. All day, all night, running around, I'm never gonna stop because you never settle down. You got me shooting into space, flying at the sun. I'm never coming back, cause baby, you're the
See that? You notice that? I got it down. Remember Leo Zaki? There we go.
Just
Thank
wait.
you, everybody. Have a great day, everyone.
Welcome